Hello, everyone. Maybe I will not be talking about building a huge company, more about how we turned from startup to a mid-sized company. But it was quite a journey, and compressing 10 years of history into 20 minutes is going to be quite a challenge. As an introduction, we are a game development company doing online games, which is quite different from mobile, at least compared to what previous speaker was talking about, because we are a lot closer to service model than building product, building another product, another product, another product. So when we build a game, we can work on this game for even 10 years. We have a game that's been in development for 10 years, so it's like World of Warcraft. It changes a lot. So we are in social casino business. This is our primary focus. We also do casual multiplayer games like Mahjong or pool. Where we have a very successful pool game, which is over 1 million MAU on Facebook right now. And as I said, it changes a lot, but I'm not going to be talking about games themselves. They are quite interesting. And I'm not going to be talking about money or monetization, but I'm going to be talking about how we make games and how to keep making games fun, because actually we are in this industry because we like making games, not only playing them. So we started very small, and we weren't really growing fast for a long time. It was company started just by 3 people initially, just 2 brothers who were owners of the company, and then I joined as a 5th person, and we were happy just building online games, which is something that we did from the start. And we were slowly growing. It was great. Everyone liked working at the company. And then we entered a period when we changed the office, and we grew like 100% from, I think, something like 25 to 50 people in 1 year. And we didn't have HR person at our company. We were all developers, designers, testers, all the people who were building products. There was really almost zero support for administrative purposes in the company. We had no idea what's awaiting us. And we made a few mistakes, but I'm here to talk about it, so it wasn't that bad. So that's it. When you are a startup, when you are a small company, you don't think about a lot of stuff because you don't have to think about it. Things just work. You communicate face to face. You don't even need email sometimes. You don't need task tracker. Obviously, people use it, but if you don't use it in a very consistent way, it's still fine. It will work. And everyone knows each other. Everyone knows the quirks of other people they work with. The communication is really, really informal, and everyone sits in the same room. It's great. Some people would like to stay like this forever, but it doesn't. It doesn't. There is just no way. So when you grow, things start to break down. Obviously, it's not something that happens overnight, but it does. And it's because you have a successful product, and the product grows in complexity. You have to know your users. You have to know your technology. You have to sometimes adapt to changes in the market. And then you have more than one product, and then you have 2 or 3 games that you work on. And it becomes troublesome to communicate effectively, to manage all this complexity. And well, that's what hit us. It wasn't really like a horror story, but things changed a lot for us, and we had to adapt. So The things that I find really interesting is that when someone is with a company for a long time, they will not notice it at first, because while we are exposed to how we work all the time, we know all the details of the product, of the technology, and we know by heart in the middle of the night how we work. So it's not a problem for us. But then you have these new employees who actually don't really know all the communication channels. They don't know all the products. They have no idea how to find the information. They have no idea how to, say, do some very simple procedure like, well, what do I do to, say, go on vacation, on longer vacation? Or what do I do in case I'm sick? What do I do in case I want a change in the product? Because I have a great idea. And who do I go to? Who is responsible for example, for green lighting something? And at the same time, a lot of new people will be intimidated by the company, at least initially, and will find it hard to voice their concerns. So they might see the problem in the company, but they will not talk about it. It's not always the case, but it can be. So it might be a bit controversial, but I think that because there's a lot of talk about completely flat company hierarchies and so on, but I believe that some formal hierarchy is at some point necessary. You need a development process. You need focus on documentation. You need to focus on formal communications and employee onboarding. And it worked for us, but we had to sort of work backwards. We see that we missed that, and we added that later. So these are the mistakes that we made. We made it too late. So the biggest mistake was that we were happy the way we were, and we assumed that simply doubling it will double the happiness and everyone will be still happy. It doesn't work like this, because once you cross about 25, 30 people, things change completely. And yeah, that's it. Maybe not hell, but it can be really something that's stressful. And when people are stressed, people are unhappy, they are not effective, they are not productive. So that's something we really wanted to fix. So this is something that you have to do on many axes. There's just not one simple solution. But what we did in general, and it doesn't cover all the things that we did, but we adopted Scrum as a development framework. We have started a dedicated team doing the platform technology. We standardized our collaboration tools. We did a lot of work on automation, and something that is a continued work, but we really work on employee education. And why did we decide to use Scrum? Because some people like to go with simpler maybe systems of production, maybe like Kanban, and it will not work for everyone. That's true, but we are very developer-centric company. We don't do that much asset production, and we do a lot of iteration. So the iterative nature of Scrum is something that works really well for us. And that's the part of being the online game developer, because it's, I would say, on the edge of internet industry in terms of how we work. Because we have games, but because we mostly make web games, it's not unusual for us to release new version of the game 2 times a day. Sometimes even more often than that. Obviously, it depends on the team. So it was something really good, but also what's really important about Scrum, there is a lot of resources available. It's easy to get external training. You may be lucky to have people who already work using this framework in their previous jobs. and it's pretty much simple. It's minimalistic. So Scrum Guide is, I think, about 19 pages. So it doesn't take long time to read it. It takes a lot longer time to understand it. But yeah, then you have training and you really can and should do it. So I think that training is something which is necessary, and many companies that try to introduce this framework think, oh, it's so simple, let's start using it. No, it will not work like this. There's a lot of things to really internalize to start to use it effectively. And what's really important is that it takes time, and you can't assume that people just will read those few pages and understand it. You have to train them. And what we did was really good decision that we decided that all our Scrum Masters and all our product owners have to get external training. It doesn't matter what background they come from. Even if they worked with Scrum in their previous jobs, we still put them on external training with the trainers that we trust, that we know, simply because what I've seen is many broken implementations, and they can do a lot of harm. So what changed is that it's not really for everyone. It depends on kind of product you do, obviously, from a business side, but some people will find it hard. Working in teams is sometimes really hard for people who are very introverts by nature. Some people just like to do things alone, and well, those people will probably be unhappy in organizations that's really sprint focused, that requires constant communication. I won't tell you what to do about it, but it's something to think about, definitely. As I said, broken implementations are a problem, so it's really a marathon. It's a long run. You can't change overnight and assume that it will work. It probably won't. It's a really painful and long process. So the biggest challenge and the biggest change that happened for us was that we didn't anticipate it, but we thought that, well, it probably will be hard to get it to the developers, but the developers actually found it very easy. The problem was that we had to change the name of the job positions. We had to change the responsibilities of people. We had to completely change how we design our games, because designers are a bit out of sync with developers. They obviously have to be available all the time, but because Scrum freezes the requirements for the duration of the sprint, we had to adjust for that. We had to really stop micromanaging, which is good for people, but for people who are on the top of the company, it's sometimes hard to adjust for that, that they have to really think about what they say, that it doesn't work like this, oh, change this button to red. No, it has to go through some sort of formal process. So what I think is important nature of Scrum is that there is this thinking that there are those business people who are on one level, and there's development that's on another level. And I think that the biggest win is that it really puts them on the same level and makes them talk to each other. And really, the training that's important is the training of your product owners, because they might come from background like that's completely non-technical, and getting them to understand how developers work, why they need certain stuff to be done in a certain way to be effective, is probably the hardest part of Scrum training. And that's, I think, is a mistake that we made. right now, if I was able to go back in time, I would do it earlier. Not because it's necessary earlier, but because it takes time. So if you anticipate growth in 12 or 18 months, it's good to change the way you work a bit earlier, just in anticipation. Not too early, but it's taking time. I think that, because we had a lot of discussion about it, but for us it was 18 months. I think that 18 months since we started to change the company is the time when we really, looking back, said, okay, it works better right now. It's better. It's something that we really are proud of it, that we know that it was worth it. And it was worth it. Still, the independent teams are really the core of Scrum, is that they own the product. And they are cross-functional, so we don't centralize everything. We accept the fact that some people will be underutilized. It's okay, because what we care is being effective on a product level, and the product teams must really be in charge of the product. So the product owner, in our case, is co-located with the team, and is available to the team all the time. Same with designers. Also, because we are doing online games, most of the product operations are something that are within the team. So there is someone on PagerDuty within the team. It's not separate operations team. We have separate operations team, but they only handle parts of the infrastructure. So something that we worked on, because we have more than one game. Actually, we have 6 development teams right now, and 4 of them work directly on games, is that we didn't want to have much waste around developing the same stuff over and over. So we do develop our own technology for making online games. It's mostly application servers, but it's tools and workflows. But at the same time, we don't want to duplicate work across the team at the game level. So Spotify is obviously an inspiration for us, but 6 is standing for special interest groups, what they call tribes. And something very interesting is that I initially thought that we would have to somehow force it from the management side to make it appear. And I was talking to an HR specialist in one of the IT companies in Krakow, and asking her about, well, how do you make it happen? Because they had very similar organization to ours. And she said to me, well, you don't. You just make it possible, and that's it. Because people with the same specialty will flock to each other anyway. But still, we help things at the tools level. So we have Central Wiki, obviously, but we went for GitHub like development model. So every code we write is available to everyone, and it's in small chunks. On the back end, we move towards microservices, which are also small chunks that we can mix and match together. So it's really about sharing what we do with other teams. We don't force it. It's more about enabling it. Automation is really important to keep things effective. So I think that building the game straight from source control is really important. So when you have a new person on the team, optimal thing to do is probably that this person can build a game within an hour or 2 hours and actually commit meaningful change to this game. There is a thing about Facebook, what they say that new employee is putting a change on the Facebook.com service within their first day. I don't know if that's true still, but getting people productive very quickly is really important. So also what's very important is that people are not afraid of releasing new stuff. So we automate everything that's related to deploying the game, rolling back the game. setting up servers, scaling it. Also, we have a lot of analytics technology, obviously being online gaming company, but that's probably another talk. And something that is overlooked a lot is employee education. Because in perfect world, everyone would like to hire only senior developers who know their stuff, can work completely unguided. It's not true. We have a lot of junior people. We hire junior people. We have trainees. And what we care about is that we work with people who are very intelligent and fast learners. So what happened for us in the past year, that we actually have a guy who is responsible for talent development. This guy's job is to train people who come to the company, and it's something that I think improved our company a lot. So this mix of junior and senior people is something you also have to take into account. I think it's a better way, because the kind of skills that we require is something that's really very hard to find on the job on IT job market, because what we do is very special. So what we care is that people have maybe 2 or 3 skills that we care about, but the rest will be just trained. And you really have to be prepared to take those people in. So that's it. You have to plan, and obviously changes to the company organization are one thing, but then you have tooling and hiring and other company activities that also will need some adjustments, and you have to do it in advance. But at the same time, there is no need to overdo it, because some stuff makes sense only once you grow big enough. It's just like having people who do training full time. So there's no silver bullet. What I said is something that worked for us, and I think that every company is different. The decision whether you should centralize or decentralize some functions, it's something that's not really universal to answer. At one company, centralizing analytics might be great. At one company, having analysts per team might also be great. And be prepared to change, because once you are 2 times bigger, you probably might want to go back and revise some of your decisions. So that's it. Thank you.
Maciej, thanks a lot.